From cryptocurrencies, you should bear in mind service providers of crypto will be hit with tighter regulations and forced to register now with AUSTRAC under strict new cybersecurity laws. Well, to tell us more about the new regulation, Brad Brown, who's AUSTRAC's acting deputy CEO of International and Policy, is joining us in studio. And also for an international perspective on this broader subject matter, let's also bring in Garrick, Hileman, who's a cryptocurrency expert at Cambridge University, founder and CEO of blockchain startup Mosaic. So plenty of people at the desk here. Great to have you all with us. John Noonan, Thomson Reuters, Ben Clark, TMS Capital. There's so much to talk about. Don't know where to start. Let's, though, begin with this AUSTRAC announcement. So, welcome to the program. Great to have you here. Just explain to us exactly, I guess, how the powers have changed. What powers have you been granted in this space?
Yeah, so the Parliament in December actually passed amendments to the Anti-Money Laundering and Counter-Terrorism Financing Act to actually enable us to regulate digital currency exchanges.
And so now that requires these digital exchanges to register with AUSTRAC, and obviously it's to weed out potential fraudulent and, I guess, criminal use of these currencies.
I mean, that's the foundation or the reason that AUSTRAC exists. We're looking to combat money laundering, terrorism financing, other serious crime. People will look to misuse the financial system, whether it be banks, gambling operations, remittance activity, and digital currencies is certainly one which for the last number of years has got a pretty bad rap in many respects in terms of illicit activity. So we're working with those businesses now to get better information and reporting, which will actually help us.
And do we have evidence that there has been widespread criminal use of cryptocurrencies, tokens, however you want to refer to them, in Australia in particular?
I think that our understanding and a broader understanding across the globe is really when you have a look in the dark web and the dark marketplaces such as the Silk Road was certainly synonymous with the misuse of digital currencies for criminal activities. Within Australia's environment, it is a risk. It's a risk that the government wanted to look to respond to in that respect. And in many respects, it actually legitimises the business and the business operations, which is what business has been looking at for some time.
Okay, let's bring in our next guest who's joining us in Melbourne. As I mentioned, Garrick Hileman, a cryptocurrency expert at Cambridge University, and this blockchain startup Mosaic. So we've got Mosaic, if you could just explain it to us. We've got analysts and researchers being part of this startup. I mean, how exactly are they aligned, and how does this work?
Right. Well, just on the last question that came up about how cryptocurrencies are being used for dark web activity, ransomware attacks, and so on, there are estimates that $30 million US has been collected through cyber attacks, through ransomware. That there's $600 million US dollars worth of dark web activity currently taking place. That type of data takes analysis, takes tools to monitor what's happening on blockchains, and firms like Mosaic and our platform, our data platform, our research team are very much trying to help not just people in the industry, but policymakers, regulators better understand cryptocurrency markets.
So that's what you're doing. You're researching, and you are obviously not agnostic when it comes to the technology, but you are trying to have a hands-off approach. I mean, you're all independent. Again, how does this work? Who are you providing this information to, and to what end?
Right. So, yeah, right now we think one of the biggest problems in the cryptocurrency space is the lack of reliable research data and information. There aren't always clear disclosures around conflicts of interest that might exist between people publishing research, sourcing data, where data is coming from. Is it being looked upon with a skeptical eye? You can't always trust what's reported out of an exchange. You need to check to make sure those volume numbers are real. So Mosaic is very much going to be, I think, a part of trying to create a more reliable data set and research platform for understanding what's actually happening. We have people, independent researchers who will be publishing as well as people from Mosaic, like myself, who will be active on the platform, to again, just try to help us better understand these markets and what's actually really happening with them.
Yeah, and I guess, Brad, that gets back to what you guys are doing at AusTrack. I mean, it's such a wildly differing market in all different parts of the world. It's really hard to, I'm not saying you're not very, savvy people, but it is, a new frontier.
And it certainly is. And we've actually been working with the sector now for some 3 years. So this isn't necessarily an overnight change for us. We've been working with them for some time, trying to understand exactly how the marketplace is developing. Our focus is obviously what we otherwise call the off-ramps, which is so where the cash goes into the system, where money goes into the exchange, trading occurs, and then you're looking to get the money out. And obviously, if you're looking to launder money or trying to create additional investment and profit from illicit money that you have, that's how.
Does that become very challenging because it is blockchain? I mean, it is much more difficult to penetrate and oversight. So you're just going to have to rely on somebody's word at some stage, right?
Yeah, the point of our regulation is that point of exchange. So a digital currency exchange will have customers like you and I, like a bank does. So in Australia, in the last 12 months, we think there's been over 300,000 new customers sign up to try and invest in digital currencies. The top 7 currency exchanges by value was about $3.9 billion in trade within that 12 months. So they have that information. The operation of our legislation works that you really need to identify who your customer is. So a lot of discussion around Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is about anonymity, that you don't know who you're dealing with. So that's the point to which, for us, we'll work with these businesses. They will require their customers to identify it. So it's actually some protection as well for investors.
Less crypto.
Yeah, for investors who are seeking it.
And Garrick, you welcome this type of regulation, this type of oversight of the cryptocurrency market?
I think as the cryptocurrency market grows, additional regulation and oversight is inevitable. I think one of the most exciting prospects, though, for regulators with regards to blockchain technology is how things like know your customer rules can actually be baked into tokens. There's some interesting work being done on how to make tokens compliant. There's interesting ways that smart contracts could be used to automate the payment of taxes. Tax regulators are getting increasingly interested in crypto assets with their massive rise in value. But the technology can very much, I think, be a part of the regulatory solution. It's very early days, but I think there's a lot here that actually is quite attractive from a regulatory perspective that will, I think, also further strengthen the marketplace and probably attract people to use this technology who've been a little concerned about its tainted reputation.
Okay, Garrick Hileman from Cambridge University and Mosaic, thank you so much for joining us. Also, Brad Brown from AusTrack. Appreciate your insights.